Today on Running to Him, God provides a Sabbath not for himself, but for us. Well, if you're joining us in going through the books of Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther, today's reading is Nehemiah chapter 13, verses 15 through 22, and we'll concentrate on verses 15 through 17. Verses 15 through 17 says this: In those days I saw in Judah some who were treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sacks of grain and loading them on donkeys, as well as wines and grapes, figs, and all kinds of loads, and they brought them into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So I admonished them on the day that they sold food. Also, the men of Tyre were living there, who imported fish and all kinds of merchandise, and sold them to the sons of Judah on the Sabbath, even in Jerusalem. And then I reprimanded the nobles of Judah and said to them, What is this evil thing that you're doing by profaning the Sabbath day? Well, there's a movement afoot, at least among pastors, concerning their own personal well-being. While it may be called many things, it's designed to create a time in which they can stop and recharge their batteries, so to speak. Now, as many of you know, I grew up late in life. I began my college career at age 27. I'd served 8 years in the Army. I had a wife and a child, and we packed up everything and headed to Dallas to begin school. Now, I had a certain amount of time to complete my degrees, so I took as many classes each semester as I could. Well, things worked out pretty well for the first year, but the second year I took 19 hours of classes a week, including Greek and Hebrew. I worked a full-time job, taught Sunday school, and then once a month would pack the family up and spend the weekend at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, working with the Chaplains. Frankly, I was a busy person. I could have become overwhelmed if I continued to burn the candle at both ends and the middle as well, so I carved out 1 hour a week for myself. I sat in front of the TV and watched the most mindless show on television, Buck Rodgers in the 25th century. Nobody could disturb me during that hour. Even during commercials, they couldn't disturb me. Now, frankly, we are too busy today. And one of the things that God may have done to slow us down a bit was to allow this COVID-19 virus pandemic to arrive. If we can't go anywhere, we're going to have to slow down. But have no fear. Skype and FaceTime, Zoom, and Google Meets are trying to worm their way into our lives. Nehemiah had an answer to the people who wanted to disturb the Sabbath. In verse 21, he warned them that they would have force used upon them if they broke that law. Now, we Christians don't have a specific day which requires us to shut down. But Sundays are a good time for most of us to relax, take time with God and the family as well. Maybe we shouldn't do our usual stuff just one day a week. Possibly for our health and well-being, we should shut down our busyness and spend time rejuvenating with God, family, and friends. Now, I think it's time for a challenge. Can we set aside our lives for 24 hours to worship and just veg? Thank you for listening. We pray that today's devotion was meaningful to you. We would love to hear from you. If you listen to us on Facebook or YouTube, please like, subscribe, share, and tell others about us. You can always email us at phineasjacobus@runningtohim.net.